All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into a fascinating and highly debated situation unfolding right now on a tiny, isolated, mega biodiverse island in the Indian Ocean. It's a story that perfectly captures the modern collision between massive geopolitical strategy and the preservation of ancient, fragile ecosystems. We're looking at incredible scale and, honestly, even more incredible stakes.
To really ground us in what we're talking about, I want you to picture a pristine island, largely untouched by modern industrialization. Now imagine that island is slated to experience an astounding 8,000% population boom. Just look at that number for a second. An 8,000% increase. Yeah, that's not a typo. That is the projected reality for Great Nicobor Island if the plans we're exploring today fully materialize. We're talking about taking a population of just a few thousand and bringing in up to 650,000 permanent settlers.
And what's driving this massive population boom? Well, it's the Indian government's grand vision for a sleek new megaport project. It's often dubbed the New Hong Kong in developmental circles, and the goal is to completely reshape global maritime trade by planting a highly modernized, massive footprint of concrete and steel right in the middle of the Andaman Sea. To really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this 72,000 crore, or roughly $9 billion project, and to weigh what stands to be gained against what might be lost forever, here's what we're covering. 1. The New Hong Kong. 2. The strategic vision. 3. The ecological trade-off. 4. The Shompen people. 5. The threat of erasure. And 6. Development versus survival.
Starting off with Section 1, the New Hong Kong and transforming Great Nicobor.
We're not just talking about a couple of docks here. This sweeping infrastructure plan includes an international container transshipment terminal, a major greenfield international airport designed to eventually handle 10 million passengers a year, an entirely new planned township to house those hundreds of thousands of new residents, and a massive 450 MVA gas and solar power plant to keep everything running. It's basically the creation of a major global city out of thin air on a remote tropical island.
Moving to Section 2. The strategic vision anchoring the Andaman Sea. The government has meticulously planned this out. According to the Press Information Bureau, the project outlines 3 distinct phases spanning over 20 years, starting in 2025 and running all the way to 2047. It's a multi-generational rollout designed to systematically build out a critical node in the Indian Ocean region, expanding the footprint step by step.
So, what's the big why here? It really comes down to economics and security. Right now, India lacks the deep-water berths required for enormous cargo ships, meaning a ton of vital east-west transshipment cargo gets routed through places like Colombo, Singapore, and Klang. Because of this, India loses out on substantial revenue. By capturing this trade right on the east-west shipping route, the government argues this project will massively boost trade revenue, cut reliance on foreign ports, and heavily secure India's national defense presence in Southeast Asia.
Which brings us to Section 3, the ecological trade-off. Trading forest for infrastructure.
Here's the reality. Building an empire requires space, and on Great Nicobor, that space is currently occupied by one of the most unique environments on the planet. The project necessitates clearing vast stretches of pristine tropical rainforest. We're looking at the diversion of over 130 square kilometers of forest land. To put that into perspective, that means cutting down an estimated 8 lakh, or 800,000 trees. On a mega biodiverse island with over 50 endemic species, the alteration to the natural landscape is absolutely profound.
Now, to mitigate this massive clearing, the government is proposing a compensatory afforestation plan. The law basically requires project developers to secure non-forest land and pay to plant new trees on it. But, and this is a big but, because land is so scarce, these replacement trees are actually slated for states like Haryana or Madhya Pradesh. Critics are very quick to point out the stark mismatch here. Trying to replace a lush, mega biodiverse tropical island by planting trees thousands of miles away on the dry Indian mainland is seen by many as highly problematic.
Let's shift focus to Section 4, the Shompen people, the uncontacted guardians of the island.
These guardians are the Shompen. Recognized officially as a particularly vulnerable tribal group, they're a hunter-gatherer tribe consisting of just around 300 people. They live deep in the island's rainforests, relying entirely on its river systems and the local pandanus fruit to survive. And crucially, roughly 2/3 of the Shompen completely reject outside contact. They are uncontacted, meaning they wish to be left alone, which makes any sort of formal consent process essentially impossible.
The geographic tension is immediate when you look at this. Notice the red boundary lines mapping out the proposed megaport and gas power plant. They fall completely adjacent to established Shompen communities like Kirasis. In fact, fully half of the project's massive footprint falls directly within the official tribal reserve.
And that leads right into Section 5, the threat of erasure, a true collision of worlds.
So, when these worlds collide, what actually happens? Well, from the official standpoint, the government strictly maintains that tribal welfare is a top priority. According to the Press Information Bureau, they are implementing an overarching committee, along with 3 independent monitoring committees, just to oversee biodiversity and tribal welfare. They've stated unequivocally that there will be absolutely no displacement of the Shompen and Nicobar Sea communities and that the development follows a strictly regulated framework.
Conversely, human rights organizations and international experts paint a much, much darker picture. Genocide expert Dr. Mark Levine warns that you don't even need physical displacement to cause a catastrophe. He argues that the mere influx of outsiders, combined with the sheer ecological destruction, will lead to the inevitable breakdown and destruction of their society.
The most terrifying and immediate threat highlighted by these experts is disease. Because the Shompen are largely uncontacted, they have virtually zero immunity to common outside pathogens. Even a chance encounter with construction workers or future tourists could be absolutely lethal. And historical precedent is really alarming here. Reports indicate that a localized epidemic in the 1980s, which followed outside contact, killed roughly 1/3 of the Shompen population at the time. With hundreds of thousands of settlers arriving, experts warn the entire tribe could quite literally be wiped out.
Finally, Section 6, Development versus Survival, the Ultimate Standoff.
We are basically left navigating 2 diametrically opposed realities. On one side, you've got these massive numbers, a $9 billion investment, the capture of international trade, securing national defense in the Andaman Sea, and driving economic growth for millions of citizens. But on the other side, you have incredibly small numbers, representing fragile, irreplaceable lives. Just 300 Shompen individuals, unique endemic wildlife, and untouched ancient rainforests that stand to face total collapse.
It leaves us with a really profound question, one that is currently echoing through courts and halls of government. How do we weigh the economic and strategic future of a rising global power against the literal survival of its most isolated people? I highly encourage you to explore the source material on this and discover where you stand. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.